All right, what's up, Warriors worldwide? I'm going to try and look into the camera here so it doesn't look like I'm just looking down at my desk the whole time. Matt Ludwig here, check it in from beautiful Blacksburg, Virginia, United States. Having a nice balmy spring day here after a little late winter bash. We only got the tail end. Hopefully all Warriors up in the Northeast are doing okay after that storm Bella that came blasting through with record inches of snow. Hopefully that's melting down and everybody's feeling good and ready to start their Saturday morning off talking about natural healing, getting psoriasis out of our lives, taking control, getting in the game, and making change happen. We are the agents of change, so that's what psoriasis really has taught me. I've learned a lot since starting my natural healing path for 4.5 years now, this rocky roller coaster ride. That started back in October 2012, and I'm so much better for it. I mean, I'm still climbing a mountain. I can't believe how much of a toxin load my body was storing away to keep me going and keep me alive, and now I'm getting it all out, going through full reversal, and it's been an incredible process. I've learned so much and met so many of you beautiful people out there, and I have this battle with psoriasis to thank for that, really. I can't say it any other way. It was a curse for many, many years, as I thought this was going to be something I had to deal with forever, and I had no options and no choice and no power over it, and it had power over me, and now it's turning into a blessing slowly but surely because I'm taking control and taking power over it, and so are so many thousands of other people out there. And I never could have known or imagined how many warriors were out there. I mean, when I first threw a video up online and wrote a blog post when I was just desperate and alone and going through my initial healing crisis and scared that it was getting worse, and this stuff that I was putting so much effort into was just making it worse and wasn't working, and that's why I reached out. And from that point on, we've been a clan that's been growing in numbers and powers and numbers, and we are first and foremost Psoriasis Healing Warriors. We're about inspiration, education, action, holding each other's hands as we walk together down this path, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's something that I've realized I'm extremely passionate about, and it's turning into not only a journey but my life's work. And honestly, nothing else matters, so to speak. This is priority one: is getting well and getting over this now before it rears its ugly head and many other manifestations down the road when I get older. Got to do it now. My body's screaming out for my help in the forms of plaques on my skin and gutate and inverse and erythrodermic and all the different names and tags and labels, but at the end of the day, it's just a sign that the body is screaming out for my help. And after 10 years of ignoring it and just continuing to do whatever my mind was wanting to do, I finally stopped ignoring the signals, and I finally started taking action myself. And that is what this group is all about. This is what all of our work is all about. My beautiful admins, my heroes that help me at the little bit of spare time they have outside of their jobs and families and everything that they have, they come in here and they help me lead others, and they help build PHW into this beautiful place. And I just wanted to take a minute to give them a shout out. Tandy and Sabrina and Julie and Alyssa and Janet and it's just a beautiful thing that we have going here, and Brenda as well, and I'll call you all out eventually. I'm on the spot here. I don't use notes. I never have used notes. I don't use a script. Just firing from the hip. But that's life. It's the Wild West out here. That's what we're doing. We're carving a trail. We're blazing a trail. This is the Wild Wild West. I mean, this isn't in a textbook somewhere. There is a lot of good books, and there's a lot of good literature, and there's a lot of good, brilliant doctors on all ends of the spectrum. Naturopathic doctors, medical doctors who get it, nurses who get it. And there's a lot of great information on the web. There's also a lot of terrible information on the web. And that's another thing we do in this group, is we try to protect our warriors as much as we can without being biased, and stay objective, try to protect each other from the bad information, from the spam, from the snake oil salesman, and from, you know, everybody trying to make a buck out there on somebody else's suffering. It's just a beautiful thing. So I see y'all checking in. It's awesome to see you coming in from around the world. That's another thing I could never imagined, is that this is just an international movement. I mean, we're part of something really big here. We're on the cusp of a massive change in the history of humanity, and it's a cycle of change. We're cycling back to how humans worked with healing a few centuries ago and a few millennia ago, and all throughout the evolution of mankind and womankind. You know, it's a more natural approach, and that's what PHW really is focused on. And I know we've kind of got to the top of the funnel in search and Facebook. We're bringing in people from all over the spectrum and who are trying to figure out, what is this? What am I dealing with? What the heck is psoriasis? What is my dermatologist talking about? What does he mean? And what does she mean? I have to manage this. What does this mean? It's genetic. It's hereditary. And all from that part of the spectrum too. And I'm glad that we have people coming in from all walks of life and all parts of the spectrum of understanding what we're up against, the challenge we're up against. And it's just very important to educate yourself and most importantly, take some action. Life is all about trial and error. It's all about making mistakes. It's just, you know, mistakes is one of the most powerful catalysts of evolution. The mistakes we make and the lessons we learn, and most importantly, though, the action we take, the steps each one of us take. What makes sense to each one of us? What's a small baby step I can take today? What's a small change? What's a little addition? You know, what can I do? What can we do? What can you do? What can anyone do? And answer that question. Answer the call each day. You know, and the information's for our mind, and that's great, but the body needs action. It needs some trial and error. It needs to test some things out. Most importantly, the body needs time. It needs months, not days, not weeks. I've learned this. I mean, I've been in this for years now. It needs months, at least months, 6 months. You know, of course, the most common question I get is, well, if I'm going to do this, how long is it going to take? That's a very multifaceted, dynamic answer to that question. I mean, I believe that natural healing is based in general principles that work for everybody, because our bodies are very similar in how they respond to the outside environment and how they protect themselves and how the organs work. But we're very unique in the sense that our minds are very unique in what motivates us to take action and what works for one person, what works for another person, and absolutely our genetics as well and hereditary makeup of our family lines, our bloodlines, is certainly a part of that. But really, when it comes down to natural healing, the body does follow a general kind of protocol to reverse illness. And I speak from this not just from my own experience, but from the thousands of other people I work with that are dedicating themselves to making these hard, challenging changes in their life. I'm not going to pitter-patter around and say this is, oh, you just got to follow my guide and do this and do that and do this and do that. And so it's not true. It's really about where we're at, each of us in our life, where we're at, and what our conditioning is and what we believe, and it's about sometimes modifying our beliefs and opening our minds up and jumping into the unknown. You know, fear of the unknown is part of the challenge of natural healing. Just diving into the unknown, not head first, maybe feet first, but taking a leap. You know, an educated leap, a calculated risk. And what I want to kind of talk about today, and of course I'll look at questions and answer those as well with any live video, but what I want to talk about today and always talk about as a priority is that the healing crisis is real. And what do I mean by a healing crisis? The crisis dictates that it took a long time for the body to get this ill, to show signs of a chronic problem, and it will take a good long while for the body to heal. And it also dictates that how we became ill, we shall reverse back out of illness. For example, you know, before I ever had psoriasis, I had issues with mono and issues with strep in my throat, and I had acne on my face, and as I've been healing, I've been reversing out of that. I have acne again. I never had acne during psoriasis, during the chronic 8 years. It was just one small plaque, you know, got a little bigger, and got a little bigger, and got a little bigger, and my existence got a little smaller. But as soon as I went to natural healing, man, all crap hit the fan. It was all out. And throughout this time, you know, of course, psoriasis spread all around my body and rashes all over the place. But all these symptoms I never had while I was chronically ill. And they came on fast and all over. And then acne popped up, pimples on my knees, pimples on my wrists, around my face like I had that before I ever had psoriasis. Aches and pains in my joints. I've gone through illnesses, but not the typical seasonal illness, you know, following the patterns of people getting sick when it gets colder. This was just full-on illness in the gut. I had to go through, I've gone through on this way out, and illnesses in the throat where I originally had them before I had sickness. I had to get my teeth worked on, had to get a root canal pulled out, which they found a cyst behind the root canal, and it is a complete research project. It is a full excavation of the body when it comes to healing, and it is certainly a crisis mode. But what I also learned is that the body will not take on more than it can handle at any one time, and that's why this reversal takes time. And the answer to the question, how long will it take for each one of us, I really believe comes down to two major factors, which is what is the person dealing with? What are the myriad of causes? How compounded are they? Are they cofactors for each other? And then how severe are they? How severe are your psoriasis symptoms going in? And what are the myriad of factors that we're dealing with? I mean, there's a ton of different factors. There's all the environmental poisons we deal with in the modern world, the heavy metals and insecticides, pesticides, the DDT passing down generation to generation. And you know, all the household chemicals, all the chlorine and fluoride in our water, all the bromide in our mattresses, in our cars, and the fire retardants, and you know, these are all parts of the process. And then you have the microbial factors. You have all, you know, the multitude of pathogens, and bacteria, and viruses, and of course parasites, and you have fungi, and you have the very common candida aspect. And if you have multiple of these factors going on, then you have potentially a compounding cofactor issue, which means it's tougher to get them all out. But they can be rid of. They absolutely can be rid of. But how long is it going to take? Well, how dedicated are you? How long does it take you to move along the spectrum for changing your habits and your choices each day? But I do feel strongly that this effort is worth it, and it will show results. But it has to be a full-on effort. You know, elimination diet, fantastic. An anti-candida cleanse, fantastic. A liver detox, fantastic. You know, vitamin D3 loading, absolutely. Go after it. Do it. You make sure you do your K2. Yes, yes, yes. Try. Keep on going. But give the body time with each thing that you do. Give the body time. You know, if you're going to load D3, you got to load it for a while. If you're getting your serum test done, just understand that the serum is the blood work and the blood is the blood, and then we have this other fluid that's 75% of our body, which is the lymphatic fluid, and that's typically where the problems are. I feel very strongly that the sequence of this is that we have to get the lymphatic system working first before anything to do with the blood is going to really work. You got to clean out the sewer system. If your toilet's clogged and you try to flush it, what happens? You have to get the pipes cleared out. And that's why I'm huge on alkaline water and juicing and liquid nutrition, and because this type of thing really takes the burden off of the gut and the bowel and still gives the body nutrients that for the war ahead, because it is a war. I don't use the term warrior lightly. That's why I've chosen the word warrior. A warrior is a peaceful ambassador who will fight and will never stop fighting Even when the war is won, the warrior is steadfast in protecting what has been accomplished, protecting the peace. But there is a battle before we get to peace. And everybody who's in this group, everybody who follows me, the only reason we're together is because we are all facing the same challenge, this same enemy that has many faces. It has the name of psoriasis, but it has many faces, and it's a challenge. So yes, it's the psoriasis. We are here to heal. We are healing, and we are warriors. That's what PHW is. That's what we stand for, and that's what we're working at. So I just got nothing but I got much love, mad respect, always more healing for everybody out there who's thinking about this, who's doing this, who is trying to make a difference for themselves and is putting the work in. But even before all that, even before the natural healing, everybody who's coming in now who's asking about their prescription or asking about what their dermatologist said that they should do, and asking about biologics and asking about methotrexate. And I don't speak to that because I don't have experience with the biologics, with the injections. I just don't want to speak from a place of non-experience. I mean, one other thing is I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a naturopathic doctor yet. I would like to be. That's one of my dreams and goals. But I'm also not a certified practitioner. I'm not a nurse practitioner. And I only, I'm just a dude who's sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just, so I only speak from my experience. And if I ever happen to trip over a question, or kind of you feel like I'm skipping by a question about biologics or prescriptions or dermatology or blood work or medical tests, it's simply because I don't have the experience to speak from. We have other leaders in this group, and of course all the other beautiful people that support each other that have experience there, and PHW is an awesome place for everybody to come together and talk about that stuff. But when I come in, and when my group leaders come in, and what PHW was originally built for was a place to come. It's like a dojo. It's a gym. It's a place to come, take in the information, and take action on the information, and ask each other about what are our experiences and where do they overlap with this crisis we're going through, which is natural healing. And that's kind of the patterns I'd like to lock in on. And there are patterns. I'm seeing it. I'm working with Angela out in Oregon. She's battling right now. She's battling through it. She's got the same rashes that I went through originally, and it's testing every piece of her will. And and she's putting in the fight, and she's battling, and that's where that's where I want to kind of spend my time, because that's where my experience is. And she and others who are going through that really need that support, because I wish I would have had it going through. But actually, I wish, but since I didn't have it, I reached out, and then because of reaching out, now we have what we have here. So it's absolutely a beautiful thing. So let me see. I'll scroll through here. This is my first Facebook Live, so like I said, I'm getting used to it. And let me see if I have a couple of. Got Renee there rocking the 28-day psoriasis detox, 3 days in, still on the green juice. Don't ever get off the green juice. What are you putting in your green juice? What do you? What's your favorite recipe there, Renee? Oh, we're happy to have you, Kathy. I'm glad you come. I'm glad you found us. Absolutely, Sabrina. We got an incredible family. Imran, late night in Pakistan. Welcome. How you doing, my man? Linda, how you doing? Andrea, how you doing? Andrea is another one I'm working with one-on-one. She is really making strides quickly. She has a high level of discipline. She's putting in the work. She's made a lot of big changes in a little bit of time. And the higher level of discipline, the more skills you build in faster, I feel the quicker the body can get through. But it's going to be some ups and downs. You're going to feel great for a few days, and then you're going to go into a valley, because your body is going to build up strength, and that's why you feel great. But it's building up that strength to go to fight. And when it goes to fight, you're going to feel awful. And you'll come out of it, and you'll go back into it, and you'll come out of it, and you'll go back into it. It's peaks and valleys. It's spikes. It's volatile. It's interconnected circles on a straight line. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back is the process. But as you get there, you will come out. you will slowly come out of it. And I came completely out of it pretty much 95% from being completely covered to fully clear, almost other than a couple of plaques, one on the scalp still and one on the navel, which is where it originally started in 2002 or 3. And then my body got stronger, and bam, it all came back again. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, and as your body metabolizes old fat cells where these toxins are hiding, they activate. And when that happens, you have to be on it. And now I'm going through a second phase, vicious, so to speak, outbreak. But now I'm getting through it, and I'm getting deeper. And I feel confident that this is the last phase I'm going to have to go through as far as a big outbreak. I mean, I might still have to go through some smaller cycles. Maybe I'll have some more acne pop out as I keep going. You know, old injuries might manifest. The ones I had in my knee and shoulder. But that pain has gone away too through this second phase. I had deep pain in my sciatica ever since I was 15, and I blamed on old injuries. I had deep pain in my right shoulder that I thought was an old injury. My left knee, my right knee from old injuries playing sports, and I mean, I feel great. my joints are full hyperextension now. No more pain in the right hip, no more pain in the shoulders, no more pain in the knees. So my body is doing a full house clearing, and that's the beauty of natural healing, is that we're kind of going towards vitality with this. I mean, we're getting to a higher plateau of body function, of metabolism, of nutrient absorption, of elimination. Elimination being key. You know, modern diet, fast diet, the first thing that breaks down is our colon, our bowel, and the kidneys, and then the lymphatic fluid gets thick, and it's full of toxins, and the cells can't remove their toxins. And when that starts to happen, you build up this status of acidosis. And when you start to become acidic, and you're not eliminating waste, and you're backing up, you're constipated if you're only having one bowel move in a week or every other day or every few days, and it hurts to do it. And you know, your urine is clear and it's not filtering, your kidneys aren't working. That's where the problems begin, because then the body can't remove it, and guess what? As acids back up, and they're food for pathogens, for microbes, candida. And when they have a food source available, they're going to eat, and they're going to grow, and they're going to proliferate. They're going to thrive. So I feel that's a big first part of the sequence. That's what my free natural healing guide at phwarrior.com, it's really what the guide is first focused on, is getting the lymphatic system moving, getting the kidneys filtering, getting the colon cleaned out, getting the bowel cleaned out, getting on a consistent daily bowel movement, or 2 or 3, however is needed. You're gonna, all kinds of stuff's gonna start coming out during the bowel movement when you get to a certain plateau. You're like, what is this stuff that's been in my body? It's gonna come out, because that's how the body heals. Reading a book on natural healing that actually Angela got for me. This is a book, The Healing Crisis. Great book, quick read, 100 pages. You'll blow through it. But this is a Warrior's Guide to the Galaxy, a Cliff Notes version of what you can expect to experience. I'll put a link to this on my site so you guys can go check it out. Quick read. I've read it twice already. Really fills in the gaps to understanding how the body functions, especially when it starts to get well. It's a wholesale, everything must go. But it all happens through those channels. It all happens through the kidneys, the bowel, the liver, and the colon. That's how things are going to eliminate. And when that starts happening, now deep cleansing can take place. That's what I did the first 2 years, and I was able to eliminate, I feel strep was a big thing for me. I was able to eliminate strep completely, and I went through an awful healing crisis to do it, but I got it out and cleared up a lot. But then I also became stronger, and my elimination pathways were open, so now the body's like, okay, well, we got this other stuff to deal with. And they went into that project, and sure enough, the skin jumped in to help out again, and it was been a big outbreak, but definitely not the same as what psoriasis ever was. These healing episodes I'm going through are, yeah, they're coming through the skin, and yeah, they're flaking and red and inflamed, but doesn't follow the behavior of clinical Western-defined psoriasis at all. Does look similar, though, and that book will explain how healing symptoms and disease symptoms are very similar. And that's really what throws people off a lot, because they just, think it's just getting worse. This isn't, diet's not working for me. It's just getting worse. And even they'll spend months and years on it. Some spend years on it. A couple that I work with spending years on it, and still going through awful arthritic pain and bone pain. The pain's getting worse, and that leads people to think, well, this is not working. It's making me worse, and it's understandable. I'm not saying that it's a foolish thing to think. It's absolutely plausible and reasonable to think that. And I'm not going to force anybody to keep going down any path. If the pain becomes too much, if you need medications to lower their immune reaction and use that absolutely. I am all for relief any way you can get it, the way you choose to do it. Absolutely open-minded, and we will support you 110%. Absolutely. No ever naysaying about anybody's choices of treatments or how anybody find relief, especially children. Just was talking with a gal yesterday, and her boys found relief with Enbrel, and if he's got relief and he's able to function and his skin's calmed down, absolutely. The only thing I'll say on that is that at some point it's going to have to be dealt with. At some point there's something in the body that's going to have to be dealt with. And so my only suggestion is, even if you're using immunosuppressants, no matter how strong they are, still consider and slowly dive into a whole foods, raw, plant-based, fruits and vegetables and herbs and wild foods diet. Consider pure water. Consider your water source. Consider filtering your water, at least if you're using a tap. Consider chiropractic. Consider a massage every week, lymph drainage massage. Consider a colonic, maybe, if that's the route you want to go. Consider these things. The game doesn't stop when we're using medications that calm down the symptoms. It needs, at some point, needs to be dealt with. Let me scroll down here a little bit more. Hopefully I'm not pronouncing your name, Shwetab. There are a lot of vitamin supplements you have listed. Can you please suggest a bare minimum for a beginner? That's a great question. So I feel the beginner, first thing is first with natural healing. First thing is first, cleaning up the diet, right? General thing. And do that slowly. Don't do cold turkey. Don't do. This is just my opinion. Don't do anything. Always focus on a practical transition. So trim one thing off every week or 2 weeks. However you can trim it off, and add something in. More importantly, so think about addition first. So add in some raw foods. Think about grazing on some red apples, some black grapes, some carrot, celery sticks, cucumber chips. Cut them up. Look for some hummus that has no canola oil in it, and use that for a dip. Figure out those plant foods that you like. If you like sweet potatoes, then build your practice around sweet potatoes. Bake up 3 at a time and put them in the fridge, and then they're ready to eat. I'm a caveman when it comes to diet. I'm not a master chef. I do prepare some meals now, thanks to this natural healing process, that are real fresh and real good. But on a daily basis, when I'm pushed for time, it's all about fulfillment, sustenance, and quick on-the-go stuff. So I'll bake up a few sweet potatoes at a time. If that's your thing, bake them up. If you like avocados, have an avocado per day. Mash up guacamole, dip cucumbers, or find yourself a gluten-free cracker with no canola oil, or find those steps in that work for you and the mind. All right, this thing has to be appeased up here. This massive entity that's always had control and always had number one say needs to come in second. So however you can trick your mind into making small changes, do what works for you. Keeping apple, if you're on the road for work, keep apples in your car. Keep a banana in your car. If you've done food allergy testing and they come back saying you can't have bananas, then don't eat bananas. Do whatever works for the test that you had done and whatever appeals to your mind. If nightshades aren't working for you, then don't eat nightshades. On nightshades specifically, I feel that it's more so the preparation and the actual food. A potato chip is not a potato. A French fry is not a potato. Our relationship with potatoes is typically they're coming out of some sort of oil. so I do defend white potatoes a bit if they're organic and steamed and they work. I just understand that an organic steamed or baked potato is very strong against strep, very strong against viruses. It's very strong antimicrobial. So if you feel bad after a potato, it could possibly be the benefits that potato is providing. Just saying. I'm not saying that's fact, but I don't think it's fiction either. But certainly potato chips don't count. French fries don't count. Yeah, of course they're inflammatory. They're probably deep fried in canola oil, and canola oil is one of the most corrosive agents you can put in your body. It just destroys the gut lining. It destroys the liver on contact, and it's a very popular oil that's put into a lot of food these days because it's cheaper than olive oil. So you'll even at high-scale Italian restaurants, you maybe ask what is this olive oil, and ask if they have a blend with canola because it's just people they gotta save pennies and to make profits, and canola oil is one of those things. But but like I said, let's get back to what for a beginner. Do what you can do. Focus on the fruits and vegetables and herbs that you happen to like. If you're eating the skin, try and go organic. If you're not going organic and you're eating the skin of the fruit or vegetable, at least soak it in white vinegar and cold water for 10 to 15 minutes. Very important to get those pesticides off any way possible. One of the liver's main jobs is to keep us safe from environmental poisons, to filter that out of the blood before it goes into our heart. And pesticides are just really tough on it to do. They're tough to get out. They're tough to filter out. So what does the liver do? It'll hold on to them because it doesn't want to release them unless it's strong enough, unless the body's strong enough. So it'll hold on to them and hold on to them. So if you can't go organic, at least soak your stuff. If you're eating the skin, soak it in some cold water and white vinegar, and just do the best you can with that. But just focus on those plant foods that you like. Another beginner step is getting yourself a BPA-free water bottle or a glass water bottle, and work with that. Work with pure water. Think about that as a beginner. Think about your water source. It's so important since water is a big part of the process, and water is the source of all life. It is also the source of all healing. It is the river that flows through the body, and it needs to continuously flow like a raging river. It cannot turn into a stagnant pond. Think about a pond. Think about a pool you haven't cleaned. What grows in that pool? What grows in the pond? Same thing is happening in your inner ecology that happens in the environment outside. Study nature on any given day and look at a pond or look at a creek that's flowing. That water is more pure. It's filtering through rocks. It's rushing down the mountainside. And the same aspect with pesticides in the body. If there's somebody above that creek that's using fertilizers that have pesticides in them, that gets into that water. Well, think about that internally in your ecology. If there's pesticides coming in on the skins of the fruit you're eating, it's getting into that raging river, and you think your liver is the rocks that filter it. So you got to kind of think about a pure water source. Think about a good water container. That's a good beginner step. Just getting. Don't do anything else. Don't cut anything out the first day. Don't maybe think about adding so much in the first day. Just be like, you know what? I could drink more water. Let me go get a BPA-free bottle, and that's the change. That's the small baby step I'm making today. Let me get let me think about my water source. Am I filtering my tap? Okay, that's good. That's good. A lot of people filter their tap. It's affordable. It's understandable. It's better than not filtering your tap in most cities. So that's a good beginner step. So as far as supplements for a beginner, I think after, say, 3 to 4 weeks of getting water going and, a few weeks of getting more raw plant foods into the diet, snacking and grazing on a red apple or black grapes or whatever fruits work for you, whatever vegetables work for you. If you're a broccoli fan, then snack on some raw broccoli and hummus, or if you're a cucumber person, then snack on those. After about 3 to 4 weeks of that, I think the first supplement is a good probiotic. And I found, after going through a lot myself, I actually have found what I feel is the best one I've been using. It's been making a huge difference for me. It's tailored for psoriasis relief. It's kind of a cutting-edge liquid plant-based organism. It really doesn't even have a name yet, so it doesn't have an acidophilus, bacillus, billion, trillion, majillion, quadrillion, zillion strains. It's more so a focused plant-based organism that has the tendency to create all three types of enzymes. There's three types of enzymes. I can't remember exactly the three names. So one's a digestive enzyme. Well, one's a metabolic enzyme, and that's the one that this plant-based organism does well. Is develop those metabolic enzymes, which really invigorate cell functions. And this is psoriasis and eczema and dermatitis and rosacea and acne and cancer and cardiovascular disease. It comes down to cell health, cellular health. We are trillions of cells floating in two fluids, as Dr. Morse says. Two fluids. Two. Blood and lymph. Trillions of cells. That's what bone cells, organ cells, tissue cells, skin cells, brain cells, nerve cells, all have the same biochemistry type makeup. And so when we're focused on cell health, and the cells are able to empty their waste and they're being invigorated to do their job, and instead of red blood cells coagulating and stealing nutrients from each other because they're so weak, they start to become individuals bouncing off of each other and sharing information, sharing DNA, sharing nutrients instead of being greedy because they're sick. Really, stuff starts happening in the body. So this probiotic has some, these strains have a metabolic influence on cells. And of course, the probiotic in general, a good one, teaches the immune system what's indigenous and what's not. And that's what we're dealing with in this so-called autoimmune thing, right? We're dealing with an immune system that's so weak and so confused and getting improper signals from so many different angles, environmentally and internally, where it is not able to do its job. So it's just creating inflammation all over the place to try and slow down what the toxins are doing, spreading all around the body. But it simply can't get down to the cause of the matter. So it's, you know, a good probiotic will do that as well. It will influence the immune cells into what is good, the good guys and the bad guys. So I'll share more information on that specific probiotic after our talk today. I'm going to do a video on that and write up a post on how long I've been using it. I've used it for about 6-7 weeks. I've gone through like a bottle and a half, and the response in my skin has been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited about that. It's made by a biochemist, husband and wife team out of Texas. And like I said, they're both retired biochemists. They're doing this as a labor of love, as a hobby, and they really weren't even developing it. They were developing it for general health, but they were handing it out to people to try it for free. And a few people with moderate to severe psoriasis came back and said, "Hey, I don't know what you're doing here, but you know, this is really helping my skin clear up." And I'm so excited. I've been dealing with this for decades, and now, this is really helping. And when I asked them about, well, are you putting them on a protocol? They're like, no, we're not doing any specific diet protocol. I'm like, well, I always come from that adjustment in diet and lifestyle as a foundation, a fundamental principle foundation. So that can only help the probiotic do its job if you're bringing in what's known as the prebiotics that it needs. It's a plant-based organism, so it thrives on plants in the external environment. So it needs to thrive with plants in the internal ecology. So I always believe it's a fundamental principle to bring in the plants that this organism and that us organisms can thrive on. Yeah, Shwatab, that's my long-winded answer to your question for beginner, as far as a supplement for a beginner, and I'll share more information on that. And of course, as always, logistically speaking, it's a challenge because we have an international group here, and getting products from one country to another is a challenge. But that's going to be one of my pieces of my life's work, is to figure that out and do the best we can with getting people products around the world that they need, no matter where you're located. So that would be a but if you need to find a probiotic, look for a plant-based or at least a soil-based organism. Look for a strain called Bacillus coagulans, a very, very resilient strain, very tough guy, survives the stomach acid, and gets down into the ileum where he needs to be to thrive. So Bacillus coagulans, plant-based. The probiotic shouldn't require refrigeration, shouldn't be dairy or lactose based. Those are the cheap ones to make, you know, the milk cultures, the yogurt cultures. The issue with those is that they burn up in the stomach acid, especially a weak stomach that doesn't have an intrinsic factor or any kind of, it's just confused. It burns up, they cause bloating, and then dairy in itself is inflammatory. So when you're bringing the cultures inside of a lactose culture, they're coming down in a blaze of fire, and it's tough for the gut to do anything with them, especially a weakened gut. So look for a plant-based or soil-based. Look for one that doesn't require refrigeration, and try and steer clear of the yogurt-based ones, and then also check your expiration dates. Make sure it doesn't have an old expiration date. I know Amazon is the Amazon is the kingdom of cheap and free shipping, but Amazon is a little bit dangerous because you have large faceless distributors on there who have tons of product they got to dump. And when they're not selling it in their stores, they put it on Amazon and dump it at cheap rates with Prime shipping, and everybody buys it up because they're getting the cheapest and the freest shipping. But you just make sure you ask those Amazon stores, what's your expiration dates? How long has this been sitting on the shelf? And am I getting fresh product? It's very important with supplementation. You're getting fresh, non-contaminated product. And that's hard to decipher if you're not going direct from the manufacturer, or if you're not getting it locally and you can talk to the person who stores it, or check the expiration dates yourself before you buy it. So yeah, be wary of Amazon. Mila's asking about IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Is that part of a healing crisis? And many people are, through the surveys I take, through the people I talk to. Many of us have some level, some type, some strain of streptococcus bacteria, strep A, strep B. It's a very prevalent bacteria. It's very intelligent. It's very highly evolved. It's resistant to many antibiotics. They make it stronger. And antibiotics, of course, wipe out the gut flora, which are trying to keep your gut and your immune system in check and keep you symbiotically going in life. And strep will thrive in a situation like that. I believe that irritable bowel syndrome is a condition of a strep infection in the lining of the bowel. It gets up in the lining of the bowel. It gets into the lining of the tissues and organs because many bacteria know that they have to get out of the bloodstream because that's where antibiotics flow through the blood. So they're training the higher evolved strains to get out of the blood, which forces them deeper into the body. And I feel that this is one of the fundamental causes of autoimmune disease is this phenomenon of pathogens going deeper into the tissue, into the musculoskeletal, into the tissue lining, into the lining of the organs, into the lining of the liver, where they can still get nutrients from what we're eating, but be away from the medications we're trying to use to kill them off. They'll knock down active infections that go into the bloodstream when it's spreading around, but their strongholds are deeper in the body. And I feel irritable bowel syndrome is a deep infection in the lining of the bowel, causing pain around the colon, the nerves that attach to the colon because of the inflammation there. So I think that a natural protocol, foods and herbs that are good at knocking out strep is a good thing to follow, a good protocol to follow. Is it part of a healing crisis? It could absolutely be part of a healing crisis, because when you start putting in natural remedies that strep will never be immune to, because these herbs have been around as long as strep has on this planet, it can't be immune to them. It outdates. It doesn't like to die. I mean, would we like to die? No, absolutely not. So it puts up a fight. There's a die-off reaction known as a Hersheimer reaction, which is part of the healing crisis studies. And so when you start putting foods in the body that start knocking it out, it starts to run, it spreads, it's fighting to live. And so part of reversal could be irritations in the bowel. When I first started healing the first 6 months, I went through reversal of the heartburn I had, the acid reflux disease that I was taking medication for in my mid-20s. It's ridiculously young to be taking those types of medications. I had bad heartburn all the time, which was a complete diet disorder. And I also, I had bowel issues. Maybe a bowel movement once a day, once every 2 days, So during reversal, I went through some discomfort in my gut and my bowel. What felt like cramping, but it was my body was doing some work in there and clearing out some issues, and you know, sure enough, it was these bowel syndrome type issues were part of that. So yeah, I think that the issues I think the gut and the bowels where healing begins. It's where it ends. And so, you know, that's where you're going to find your first discomfort happening. In that first 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on your level of discipline, you're going to be going through some reversal crisis in the bowel and the gut. You're going to have worse heartburn, especially if you're drinking lemon water. So lemon water's knocking things out, and it's gonna cause a little bit of, you know, heartburn symptoms is what I experienced. But that cleared out, and that's where healing begins. You have to be eliminating, and you have to be absorbing. Absorption, elimination, period. If your body's not absorbing the fuel it needs for the fight, nothing's getting done. And that's what's the problem with a weak stomach and a weak liver and a weak digestive tract is we're not absorbing nutrients because it's so inflamed down there. You know, there's a lot of discussion on leaky gut syndrome, and what I feel leaky gut syndrome is actually ammonia gas seeping through the gut wall, not so much sediment and particles of food and candida and pathogens, but same premise though. You know, you have a permeable gut wall, you have toxins seeping through, gases seeping through from putrefying dead animal fat that the body can't digest, that's just sitting in the bowel. So when the body starts clearing that out, there's going to be a reversal process. But when that gut wall strengthens and you're absorbing better, because those little probiotics and those little dudes that help us absorb nutrients are starting to actually survive and do their job, now absorption's happening. But elimination has to start happening first. The body's not going to do anything to reverse psoriasis and clear the skin until it feels confident that elimination pathways are open. You know, you're not going to flush your toilet again until you feel confident that it's been plunged and the pipes are open again. So the body's the same way. It's not going to do its hard work until it knows that it's got the support it needs, until it can rely on us to keep going until those pathways are opened up. And irritations in the bowel is part of the first part of reversal. Cool, Christine. Hello from Raleigh. I'm close to you, Blacksburg, not too far away. And yes, I'm excited to keep doing these videos. It's just the first one. I'm excited to keep doing this way. I can cover a lot more ground speaking than I can typing, and it will help us consolidate everyone's posts into a good conversation. So I can help more. You know, I can get back to everybody because I sometimes get kind of lost in a pile of posts. And you know, as always, all of us, our time is precious, and sometimes you know, I have a little less time than I would love to have. I would love to just spend 24/7 in here working with everybody one-on-one, and that's my dream. And soon enough, I'll hopefully be facilitated to do that. But yeah, right now it's still a tug and pull process with my, you know, day job getting in the way, right? So, that's cool. You watch I watched Diana Sanfilippo's video cast, Mickey Trescott's. It's great. Yeah, we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna make this a habit of doing these videos, and we're gonna heal psoriasis in a holistic way. Absolutely. Thank you for making a difference in everyone's lives around you too, Christine. And beef bone broth is a good one. You know, Dr. Axe talks about bone broth a lot. Epigenetics Labs and the Truth About Cancer guys talk about bone broth a lot. I think it's great. I think it's a great source of L-glutamine, and L-glutamine is that amino acid that the gut wall uses like plaster to rebuild that wall. You know, think about tools for the job. And the thing with amino acids, think about amino acids like boards and nails and hammers. If you show up to the job site and you have boards and nails but you don't have a hammer, are you getting any work done? The body, the same way with the 12 or so essential amino acids. If it has 11 of the 12, but it doesn't have the 12th one, it flushes out all the other 11 because it can't do the job it needs to rebuild. And that's what proteins are for. The amino acids that make up proteins are for rebuilding tissue and soft tissue and hard tissue. And when you're focusing on the gut lining, L-glutamine is the most important part of that job site. But make sure you're bringing in all the other amino acids in a synergistic format. Got to have them all. You know, you can't just supplement 2 scoops of L-glutamine powder every day and you're bringing in 1,000 nails, but you don't have the hammers. That's why, for my supplementation personally, I like to bring in my vitamin and mineral and essential fatty acids only from plant sources. You know, of course, as Michael Lebowitz taught me, you know, vitamins are synthetic, and you got to be careful about your sources.
but I like to use, I think vitamins pretty much are all synthetic because they're being built and crafted in a lab. But when they're mixed with synergistic plant-based cofactors, they really help absorption and bioavailability. But my thing with that is I like to take in, my vitamin A, all the Bs, C, D3, E, K, K2, in a synergistic format. I'm not big on. I went through that for a year. In the second phase, I got afraid and started to doubt that this was working. I started going after supplementation silver bullet protocols, and I was loading thousands of milligrams of D3 and thousands of milligrams of magnesium and tons of iodine and selenium, and it was helping, but my body was like, whoa, man, I can't, this is too many nails. We're going to build this house. We got to do it, one wall at a time. We need a consistent amount of nails, a consistent amount of hammers, and a consistent amount of boards and drywall and plaster, but we need them in a, can only do so much in a day. So if you just load in a ton extra, then it's getting flushed out, which then you're putting a burden on the body to flush it all out. So I'm big on synergistic, balanced approach to vitamin, mineral, essential fatty acid, amino acid supplementation. Absolutely. But back to bone broth. Absolutely, bone broth's tasty. You can make your soups out of it, your vegetable soups, and it certainly helps because it's a food-based item. So the body knows how to use foods. So it's more so than synthetic creations of supplements. So I think it's better than a glutamine powder, and it will help, especially at the beginning. It will help replaster that permeable gut lining and calm down that inflammation. And it's tasty. It's always nice when you get that twofold thing where it's really helpful for the body and it's tasty. You can make some soups out of it. You can get creative. You can put some quinoa in there and any vegetables you want. With soups, make sure you don't cook them at a really high temperature. And don't overcook your stuff. Make sure those vegetables are still al dente. Keep the temperatures low. Cook them on low. They might still have some of their life force, and that life force kind of spills into the soup broth, but you're going to eat that broth, so that's good. But don't overcook stuff. That makes it acidic, and it steals its life force. And we want to eat raw foods because we want that electroactive life force. We want to take the life from the plant and make it part of our life. And that's how we thrive on raw food. That's a big reason why you thrive on it, because you're not only getting the properties it has, but you're also getting its life force that's still alive, especially in organic, because it's not buried in pesticides. Shwatab asks about omega-3 from fish. Fish oils are tricky for me because you have a high probability of mercury contamination because those poor critters are swimming around in oceans that have just been completely littered. And there are third-party testing for fish oils that show that they have, zero radiation and zero mercury. And then it comes down to digestion. Fish oils can be rough for some people, and they burp them up, and it's like, ugh. So for my essential fatty acids, I focus on plant-based. I used to use an algae base, which had a high level of EPA and DHA, but they're just expensive. So I used those for a while, but I had to cut down, and I use now a evening primrose oil is what I use for my essential fatty acids. They have GLA, so they don't have the full course of 3, 6, and 9, but they do have a good amount of 3, and 3 I think is the vital one. Flaxseed oil is another great source. Make sure, once again, your source is good. Make sure it's not contaminated. Don't just go to Walmart and buy flaxseed oil. Do a little bit of research. Look around online and look around for some flaxseed oils that have been prepared well and aren't contaminated. I'll share a link to the evening primrose oil that I use, and it's like $25. It lasts me 2 months. So, what is that? 50 cents a day or so, or less than that. So that's nice. Body and budget, But I do try to. I don't do fish oils. My main goal is eliminating heavy metals from the body and mercury from the body. So I don't even if it has a high rating for low probability of mercury contamination, I'm trying not to accidentally add in any more burden than what I'm trying to get rid of, right? So if you can't afford a lot of supplements, what do you do? I mean, my first 2 years I actually kind of said to myself, I was out in Mexico, so I really didn't have access to supplements, and it's like, I'm going to do this with food. I'm going to do this only with food, and I did, absolutely did. In my sense, I had to go deeper, and then I had to start doing some chelation and some deep elimination. But for many people, switching up the diet to a lot of raw foods, bringing in a lot of pure water, working on stress reduction, working with the mind, and realizing that, hey, life is beautiful. Everything's going to get done. If suffering loss is a part of life, and it's hard, but it's part of life. So quieting the mind each day, doing some nice exercise each day. The sun is free. If you can get a little bit of sunlight, you can take a walk in nature. You can do some exercising in your home, do a couple push-ups, do a couple squats without weights. You don't need any money to buy weights or anything like that. Just jog around your house. Go find a hill and walk up and down a hill 10 times. Bring in lots of water. And then beyond that, just adjust your grocery budget. The middle of the store is just as expensive as the produce aisle. I know people talk about organic produce being so expensive. It's true, it's not cheap. But a box of cereal costs $8. So there's an adjustment in the grocery budget. So you have to adjust your budget when you don't have an extra dollar to spend and you don't have an extra minute to spend. There's a value perception. As you start to realize this is working, you're gonna have a higher value perception in it, and you're gonna be able to adjust the dollars you do have and the minutes you do have. But at first, if you don't have an extra dollar to spend and you have a tight lifestyle, then think about your opportunities. If you're at the office all day, make sure you're getting out of your chair at least once per hour, stretching out, taking some deep breaths. Take 5 breaths. Like a full breath. Make sure you got your alkaline water bottle. If you got chlorophyll, put it in there. If you got some plant minerals, put them in there. Try some herbal teas in your grocery budget. Get some herbal teas, some mixtures that help deliver, purify. Some licorice root, dandelion root, burdock root. Yogi makes some really good blends that are cheap. $3 for 16 packets of tea. That's a great place to start, getting some herbal teas into your day. You can put raw wildflower honey in the tea, makes it tasty, squeeze a lemon in it. I drink down tea every day. Teas kind of help me cut down on the coffee that I love to drink. So I'll have a little more tea, a little less coffee. But a little bit of exercise, a little bit of sunlight, some deep breathing, water intake, and adjusting your grocery budget. That would be what I suggest for somebody who doesn't have a auxiliary budget for starting supplementation. And honestly, like I was mentioning earlier to Shwatab, you want to start there anyways. You want to start with cleaning up your diet first before you do any supplementation, because you want to make sure you're absorbing well. If you're not absorbing well, you end up with expensive urine when it comes to supplements. Especially if your goal is loading D3. D3 requires magnesium and K2 and all of these cofactors. It requires a certain type of metabolism. It's a hormone. D3 isn't just sticking a cog in a hole. It requires a multitude of metabolic functions that require tons of magnesium in order to convert into a usable format for the body to take it from a synthetic supplement to a hormone, which is actually what D is used for, to modify and modulate immune function, which is why they're seeing results in psoriasis. Is D just like the sun, right? You go lay in the sun and your psoriasis calms down. It's because it's modulating the immune system. That's what D does. It's really incredible that way. Nothing substitutes actual sunlight for D production. Nothing. Not even close. But if you are supplementing, make sure you're doing it in a reasonable format. I'm not, like I said, I'm not very educated on whether to take 5,000 IU or 500,000 IU. Just for me, like I said before, it's just bringing thousands of nails to the job. The body's, the body has to be able to metabolize it, absorb it. So at the beginning, you want to focus on adjusting your diet and your lifestyle anyways. If you're a high-strung person, if stress is just ruining your life, then that's free to work on, and it's hard. It's really challenging to work on that. I didn't really address that too well my first time through, but this second time through, I've been dumping a lot of emotional toxins and anger and frustration and doubt and fear, and I had to do better with qigong and yoga and meditation and nature walks and deep breathing and calming myself down. So I was a freak before, and so many things in the outside world were influencing how I treated my inside world, and all my happiness was coming from outside, and I've worked on that, but that's something you can work on for free at the beginning. It's very challenging. Carving on a half hour of your day to sit in silence, and as soon as you sit down in silence, your mind starts going rampant and crazy. It's a wildly beast, the mind is. It's going to tell you a million reasons why you're wasting your time and you don't have this half hour to spend, and you have your to-do list is growing because you're doing this, and you have, what are you going to eat tonight? I'm hungry. I'm starving. I'm hungry. This diet sucks. I'm starving. What can I eat anymore? Blah, blah, blah. So working with the mind is important because the body doesn't go through any of that. The body's like, plant foods, please. Hey, water, dude. I'm drying out here. It's really what the body works on. It's biochemistry and physiology. It needs the mind to support it and love it, and it needs fuel. That's kind of what I always say to people, put it in a nutshell. Our job here at Natural Healing is twofold. One is fueling the body. Two is enduring the process. And the endurance is for the mind. That's where the mind work comes in. Not, oh my God, I've been doing this for 2 weeks, nothing's working, I'm getting worse. It's been 2 weeks. I mean, how long have you had psoriasis? How long have you been ill? How long have you been putting up with pain? How long have you been suffering? Years, for most people. Their whole lives. You can't just expect the body to reset, do a reboot in 10 days, especially if the mind is running the show. So, the mind work is free and something can be done right away. Qigong, yoga, there's hours and hours of free yoga videos on YouTube. YouTube is just a plethora of how-to stuff. I mean, I have my Qigong video on YouTube. There's yogis on YouTube that are expanding their brand by putting up free videos, morning yoga, afternoon yoga, high-stress yoga, after-work yoga, during work yoga. Take advantage of YouTube. Do a couple searches. Find a couple of people you like that produce videos and follow along. It's all free tutorials. I mean, you might have to watch a commercial, but we're used to that. And take advantage of that. So do work with the mind. Calm yourself down. Take some deep breaths. Embrace it and endure this process. And take it slowly. Take it slowly for your body and your budget. They both, I help people. I operate on the premise of no time, no money, and I operate under the pretense of body and budget. We can only slowly afford things financially, and the body can only slowly use things biologically. So it works together. So right now, if you're strapped for every penny, adjust your grocery budget, drink more water, do some stress relief. Carve out a half hour of time for yourself if you can. I know moms and dads, it's even harder. If your kids are old enough where they could rally around you, do yoga with you, then make it an activity they could do with you. And I see it all the time. Families get involved and they become part of the solution, and then boom, it's powerful. But if you have infants or babies screaming and crying and puking, that's something else. But but really try to carve out that me time every day. That's a big challenge at the beginning. It's free to do and it's challenging to do. So realize that that's a skill you're developing. Don't take it for granted. See that value in the efforts you're making. And as your value perception rises in this, then all of a sudden you'll see an extra $5 that you can spend on this, and an extra 5 minutes you can spend on yourself. But at first, there's no value. You don't have no value perception when you're working on healing. You just look at it as, ugh, no, another thing I have to do. Now I can't eat what I like anymore. That's all mind stuff. So work with that first. It's not that you can't eat what you don't like and what you like anymore. Keep eating whatever you like, but start eating something your body likes. Add something in. And when when you've done some weeks and months of adding stuff in, then guess what? It's easier to give up dairy when you have something else you like. Oh man, I didn't realize I like coconut milk so much, or almond milk, or I don't really need to drink a glass of milk every day. Milk doesn't do a body good, Oh, I can't get calcium from milk because it's inflammatory. I can get calcium from an orange that's bioavailable. That's all in the mind. All that stuff, beef is what's for dinner, and milk does a body good, and all the advertisements we're exposed to, and all of our conditioning and all this stuff, that all needs to be worked with. None of it happens overnight, and healing certainly doesn't happen overnight. So fuel and endure. Buy into the process, and buy in slowly. And that's a pun intended. Buy in mentally, buy in financially, and do it slowly. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Absolutely. What's up, Chris from Norwalk? Chris asked the simple 2-word question: ionized water. If you're using an ionizer, if you got the budget for that, and you've bit the bullet and spent $2,000 for a cathode machine, and you're ionizing and you're infusing extra hydrogen, dissolved hydrogen into your water, that is the holy grail of water. I'm saving up for that. You know, right now I have 5-gallon water delivery, and it's a BPA-free bottle, and it's a steam distilled spring source, and this is a BPA-free bottle I put it in, and I'm doing the best I can with the water I can get and the budget I have. But if you just won the lottery and you want to take, what's the first thing I want to spend my winnings on? Buy a water ionizing machine. $2,000–$4,000, put it in your house, hook it up to your tap. Deep filtration gets a lot of the aluminum out and a lot of the bromide out, chlorine out, and then it ionizes it. It fuses hydrogen into the water. And hydrogen is just the electricity of the body. It's basically 3 elements that make up all life. You know, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. We're carbon life forms, and water is made of hydrogen and oxygen, and we breathe oxygen to survive, and we give off carbon dioxide because we're carbon life forms. Luckily enough, plants eat carbon dioxide. But those are the 3 elements: carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. Trillions of cells floating in blood and lymph. Simple chemistry project. A little bit of biochemistry involved. The complex parts is these things up here that make things feel so difficult, and thinking we have no time and we can't do anything about this because our doctor said that we can't do anything about it. That's all up here. Simplicity's down here. Chemistry, biology, putting the work in, putting the time in. Yeah, if you can get an ionizer, go for it. My local herbalist sells ionizers here, so he actually sells them at a really good rate, high quality machine. So if you're interested in that, send me an email, matt@phwarrior.com. Shoot me any questions you got via email. Email's nice for me because I've been working in email for 10 years. I have everything labeled and segmented and filtered. When emails come in, I'm able to put them into pieces and reply real quick. And I'm in my email every day for work, for all my other work. Much more, and sometimes I'll stay out of Facebook because when I have to focus on work, but I'll still answer emails all the time. Email me anytime, matt@phwarrior.com, mentor@phwarrior.com, and we'll work together. What's up, Kim from Wisconsin? Kim and I have been working one-on-one for a couple months. She's a mama up there. She's trying to work this into her life, and you know, it's like I just talked about. Buy in, pun intended. And do it practically. Make small changes. We talked about that, Kim. David, hola, ¿cómo estás? From Ecuador. Ah, man, how you doing? Sandra, 3 months into her lifestyle change. It is a lifestyle change. This isn't just the diet, you know. People are just, they get wrapped around the diet. I can't do the diet. The diet doesn't work for me. The diet is just, it's a huge part of it, but it's just a piece. It's a huge piece, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. Lifestyle is the puzzle. You know, how we treat ourselves, how we live, what we let affect us, what we do to influence others, what influences us, where do we gain value from? Is it material? Is your car and your iPhone all that matter to you? You know, it's just, the lifestyle is so important. You know, realizing that having an iPhone plastered to your head all day and stuck in your pocket and all the electromagnetic toxins is pumping into your body, you might not start to love your iPhone so much. I'm just kidding. But it is, Sandra, it's a lifestyle change. You're 3 months in, complete life changing, never going back. There is no going back. Humans, we don't go back. Our minds love to go live in the past and wallow in all of our mistakes, and why did I do that, and why did I spend that money, and why did I break up with my girlfriend or boyfriend, and why did I leave that place I was, why did I quit that job, why? Well, guess what? You left that boyfriend, girlfriend, you quit that job, you spent that money, you wasted that money, you did it. It's over. It's done. It's gone. It's in the past. Body does not operate in the past. It's not. You know, the body's not feeling guilt over that pizza you binged on last night and that, you know, 6-pack of beer you pounded during the football game. All the body's doing is dealing with it right now. So the best you can do is stay in the moment, help your body deal with it, flush it out with some water, and get going. Get back on the horse before the cart runs you over. That's how I operate. That's what keeps me going. My experience, what I've been through, yeah, that's important. It's important to rely on your experience. That's what the past has given us, is the moments that have passed and the experience we have gained. But experience is a reality moment. Reality is only here in the moment. Body only operates right now. It's only trying to work hard. It needs your help. So there is no going back. There's only moving forward. but don't get too far into the future. Don't get lost in, oh my God, how long is this going to take? 6 months, 8 months, 7 months, 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right now. What are you doing right now? The more you're doing right now, the less time it's going to take. I believe that. Lori, happy to have you here. And get back to my email. You know, I shoot those emails out. I want a response. Let's talk. Let's talk. Hey, Brian. Great to see you too, man. Love you too, man. Nothing but love. Much love. Mad respect. More healing. It's all about love, man. We're here to love each other. Pick each other up. I want to tell you something right now about Psoriasis Healing Wars, the group and behavior in the group. Better be positive, reinforcing, and supportive. And if you're writing something in response to somebody and you're telling them what you do or how they should do it, please read it before you submit it. Just make sure that it's not so dictatorial. Make sure that's great what you're doing. It's fantastic. You know what? This is what I'm doing, and this is my suggestion. Make sure you take the extra time to write that into your response, because it's really tough. You know, that's why people use emojis so much, right? Because we don't really get where people are coming from, and sometimes it can come across as really critical and really cynical. So that's one thing that the group has taught me. I used to be a really, you know, what's the word? Not cynical, but just very matter-of-fact. And I realized right away that my matter-of-fact position would come across as condescending. As, you know, I like to be a coach, and I feel like I'm coaching, and I don't have a lot of time to answer the same question I've already answered 100 times, just buried somewhere in years and years and years of conversation in this group. But it's important to try and give an element of emotion across with your information you're using to help others, because it's how it's received and how it's delivered. It's so important in the social setting. So one question I ask myself before I submit something, especially if I'm connected to the information I'm about to send or I'm replying to somebody that said, oh, you know, hey, Matt, hate to disagree with you, but here I go. Hey, Matt, I know this is your site, but... and they give me their 2 cents. I try to make sure that my response is, I operate under this code. Would I say it to their face? If I was looking them in the face, if they were sitting across the table from me right now at this coffee shop, how would I present it then? That's a question I ask myself before I click submit on anything I'm writing in the group. But in a nutshell, this group is for love, support, inspiration, empowering, influential. So if you don't have enough time to respond the way you would like to respond, you're just going to write one quick fly-by-night sentence, don't do it. Wait, get home, save the post. When you have time, write a thorough response to somebody. If it's because these people are we're relying on each other here. That's just very important to understand the value that other people are getting out of this group and to cherish that value and respect this space. And like I said, we only have 5-6 admins that help moderate thousands of people across thousands of conversations, and not to mention all the spam we have to keep cleaned out. So I'd like to also instill a neighborhood watch. If you see spam, you see a post that has a picture that says the 5 ways to get rid of psoriasis, nail psoriasis, and you know, made by Josh Sam Greenwald, then let's see, my battery's about to die here. Ah, there we go. I had the wrong plug. Can't lose my laptop right now. But, you know, help us with the neighborhood watch. Report posts, you know, report what you feel is a spammy post to a moderator. If it's just a link that goes to some generic website about 5 reasons why nightshades aren't good, we all know that information is clearly available. And it's clear if there's advertisements in that link that you clicked on, there's ads everywhere. They're just trying to make money on clicks. So, you know, the little neighborhood watch is great. That really help our small team of heroes lead everyone into valuable information, because that's a big responsibility we have for people to come in here. Because this is not just, you know, how to replace the engine in your car or how to get better at this online game. This is about our health. This isn't a game. This is serious. And there's a lot of bad information out there, and there's a lot of people trying to just get clicks and sell people products. They don't care about our well-being, and health is the most important thing in our life. What do you have without your health? So Psoriasis Healing Warriors stands for healing and health and vitality, and it's important we protect each other from a lot of terrible information made by entities that are just trying to cash in on us. But first and foremost, be supportive, be positive, be loving, be intuitive, and help people and teach people, especially if you're coming from a load of experience. But also remember, they're not. So take the time of day to write a decent response and deliver it well. Social nature of humans is all about reception, how we receive things, and how we deliver things. Because the information's lost if the delivery is such that shuts people down. Got to keep people open. Christy, you're asking what if I can only afford 2 or 3? Like I was mentioning Schwab earlier, the probiotic, I would say I put at the top of the list. The muscadine grape seeds I would put very high because they are really incredible at reducing inflammation and overall heart health. They reinforce and rebuild the glial cells that make up our arteries and veins and help the blood, help the liver. They're antioxidants. They're phytochemical antioxidants. They attach to free radicals and they'll start eliminating from the body. So the grape seeds are really high on my list. And then down the road a couple months when the body's cleaned up and the elimination pathways are open, I would suggest a bentonite clay, a zeolite, carbonized bamboo. I actually just ordered myself an elimination agent that helps binds and removes. So, one would be a probiotic, 2 would be the grape seeds to get inflammation down and overall health and free radical removal. 3 would be a binder. Or 3 would be also be the 90 essential plant mineral nutrients, vitamins, minerals, those raw materials that are needed for the job site in the harmonious synergistic format that I mentioned earlier. Bringing them all in and all in together from a plant-based source on a daily basis. So I put the liquid plant minerals in my alkaline water and I sip on them all day. So I think the plant minerals would be number 3. What I mean by mineral is 60 essential minerals: zinc, magnesium, manganese, calcium, boron, chromium, selenium. My memory escapes me, but there's 60 or so essential nutrients. And please send me an email, Christy, if you haven't already, and let's talk about it more. Mentor or Matt at PHWarrior, mentor@phwarrior.com. Shoot me an email. Let's talk. Or, of course, a Facebook message, or a quick post in the group, or my Instagram, or shoot me a comment on my video. Or better yet, just drive up here from Raleigh and say hello to me. Let's have a coffee and talk about it. Delina, Matt, great work on your battle, this horrendous condition. It is horrendous, isn't it? And the more horrendous it is, the more we stand to learn and the stronger we stand to become. In some ways more fought in our heads and takes so much out of us every way. That is the key, and I've already touched on this, so I won't go back into it. That is in some ways more fought in our heads and takes so much out of us in every way. Exactly. Fought up here. It's such a battle up here. It's such a battle. So that's why I said earlier about the practical transition. Do what appeases this beast up here. What fits into the way you think. The way you think will change, but it's not going to change right now. What you're convinced of and what you believe in right now is not going to change right now. But what can you fit in that will go along with the beliefs enough to calm the fight down in the head, remove the clouds? Because eventually you'll realize that there's so many toxins in our brains. There's so many, the brain fog, the headaches we have, the migraines we have, the tinnitus in our ears, the runny nose, the swelling behind the eyes. Mostly is because we have such a high toxin level load in our brains that the nerves are so frayed that it causes a lot of that pain, and it causes a lot of that confusion, depression, hyperactivity, and that it's not going to stop right now. But whatever you can work into that fight in the head to calm that battle down, so you can get ready for the horrendous battle underneath that the body's about to fight. It's important to get right here first. Before you get right in the body, because getting right in the body is going to be a roller coaster ride, and it's going to need you. It's going to need your consciousness and the mind to support it. Because, like you said, because there is no easy cure. Yeah, cure is a dirty word, and really what I say for people is you're the cure. What I mean by that is the choices you make, the lifestyle shift you make, what you add in, what you take out. What you help the body do, what you help the mind do, the yoga you do, the qigong you do, the meditation you work at, that you're the cure. Plain and simple. That's all I ever say when people ask me about the cure. Why isn't there a cure? What do you think about a cure? The cure is your research and your application, and your steadfastness, determination, conviction not to quit. Don't quit on your body, especially when you get into the healing crisis. That is the worst time to quit. because it's just going to get worse because things are already getting shook up. You've passed the point of no return. Like we mentioned earlier in a comment here, there is no turning back. There is no turning back. And that's what PHW is here, is to support that walking forward. Thanks, Delina, for the nice comment. Yeah, Christy, I'm huge on strep as a factor for psoriasis, a major factor. Psoriasis, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, many autoimmune diseases, strep is there. It's prevalent. Doctors like to cut out our tonsils when we have tonsillitis. Well, what I say about that usually is that if somebody, if your house burned down, would you cease to exist, or would you go find somewhere else to live? Strep is a life form that acts under the same approach to life. You cut out the tonsils where it likes to be, where it collects nutrients and inflames the tonsils, and it goes and lives in the teeth, where food collects in the teeth and the gums, and it eats that food, and it grows in your gums, and you eventually get root canals and all this dental work done that causes even more complications. But if you've had strep and you've gotten over the active infection of strep, that doesn't mean it's gone. It doesn't mean strep is gone from your body forever. What it does mean is you have antibodies in the blood for that type of strep, so it forces, just like antibiotics do, it forces the strep out of the blood, and it goes deeper in the body. It needs to be rooted out. It needs to be rooted out with a food, herbal, mineral protocol, and it will leave. And if you continue in an environment that's not conducive for strep to grow, it won't grow. We don't go where we don't like to be. We choose where we want to live, and if the strep will leave you alone if you can keep up an ecosystem that's not conducive for it to live in, especially if there's herbs coursing through that kill it. It doesn't like that. Hummus with no canola oil. Hummus I use here at Kroger's. What's the brand name? It's got like 5 ingredients. I'll get back to you on that, Christy. I'll post that in the group. I'll show a picture of the hummus I use. It's olive oil. They have a lot of different yummy flavors, but just simple ingredients. But yes, canola oil in general, you've got to check your ingredients and everything you buy, especially stuff you buy in the middle of the store, boxes and bags. Look at what kind of oil they use. Make sure it's safflower, sunflower, or olive oil, or avocado oil. In the natural section of your store, you'll find some options. Do your best to avoid canola oil. It's a challenge. Abdul was talking about the symmetry of his psoriasis. Symmetry is big. I think symmetry is my 2 ideas on symmetry is, one is our nervous system is sick. The nervous system is the forgotten system, is what I call it. It's and not only is it the forgotten system, but it influences everything in the body. Immune system, all the other systems. The nervous system is the computer that runs all the other systems. And if you have viruses in the body, if you have heavy metals in the body, they are neurotoxins. What is a neurotoxin? It's a toxin that attacks nerve cells. Epstein-Barr virus eats nerve cells. Epstein-Barr virus is behind mono. It's one of the most prevalent viruses that's in all of us in some way or another. Gets around the body, attacks the nerves in its later stages. It attacks the thyroid because it knows how it needs to manipulate that computer that runs everything else, and then it's got the host by its, it's got us. So nerves act in symmetry. Also fungus. Fungus is a neural network. Candida has a neural network. So you'll have a patch on your left elbow, and Candida will send a signal that says, oh, there's a right elbow, same environment, low oxygen environment where we can still get nutrients. Because there's not a good blood flow in the joints. So a lot of times there's a problem in the joints. The blood flow is lesser. It's more anabolic. It's more acidic in the joints by nature. And so you'll have a lot of infection and a lot of inflammation ends up in the joints. Rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, all toxin overloads that are festering in the joints, damaging that connective tissue. Skin, same thing. Skin, it's hard to have blood flow in the skin, so toxins will collect on the skin, the epidermal layer. And skin's also it's the main detox organ of the body, so it's always one to help out with manifestations, plaques on the skin. Hey Grizz, psoriasis makes us all excellent chefs. How you doing, man? It absolutely does. It makes us chefs. Like I said before, I'm like rations with it. But I will, it does every once, like a Saturday, Sunday morning, I'll chop up some fresh mixes and make a nice dinner for myself. And it does kind of push you to be the new, chef. And we have our kitchen. We have the main warrior I think of right now is Heidi. Heidi is just in our advanced natural healing group. She just posts all these lovely dishes she makes for herself, and Thank you, Heidi, for all that work you do. Hi, Waldemar. No, I haven't heard anything of amaranth. I think actually I've heard the word amaranth oil. Not squalene, though. I'm not sure on that. Sunflower oil, pearly sunflower oil is okay. Safflower oil, sunflower oil, those are okay. And they're very common in bags and boxes of natural foods, so they're okay. I feel, I think they're, that if that's what you're using to avoid canola oil, then absolutely it's okay. Yes, Nadia, olive oil is good, cold pressed, extra virgin. Share your recipe in the group. Share it in our kitchen too, Nadia. Please do. People always need ideas for good foods. Lancaster, any update on vaping? I just purchased a vape. I'm going to basically, I'm going to try vaping some CBD oil. I've taken CBD oil under the tongue, and it's really helped with my pain levels and inflammation. So I'm going to try vaping it to assimilate it that way and absorb it that way and see how it goes, Lancaster. But I've ordered it. It doesn't arrive till early next week. I'll let you know. We have a post going on that. W. Stewart, hi Matt, how you doing? Do you add anything when you juice celery? My juice in the morning is a half batch celery, a handful of cilantro, a handful of parsley, and the full lemon peel that I squeezed into my water in the morning. So I cut the lemon peel and I juice that. That makes a salty, sour juice. That's where I go with. For people who can't take that type of a flavor, I suggest red apple. So do half batch of celery and a red apple. Do the lemon peel if it's organic. If you cleaned it and it's organic, the lemon peel. Pesticide, minimal amount of pesticides or pesticide free, and clean it out. A lot of bioflavonoids, a high amount of bioavailable vitamin C in the peel of lemon. And vitamin C is the detox vitamin. It's very important for elimination and healing. It's probably the most important vitamin for us. I know there's a lot of fascination about D3 for immune system modulation, but honestly, you want to modulate your immune system, you have to be eliminating well, and to do that, you need copious amounts of bioavailable vitamin C. And that's another big reason why I'm big on the lemon water to lime water, because they just bring in good amount of vitamin C. Citrus fruits have great amounts of vitamin C. I know citrus fruits are off of many people's lists because of food allergy tests and Pagano and everything else, but the benefits I get from citrus from vitamin C just far outweighs what those risks might be. But if it shows up in your food allergy test and it bothers you, cut it out. Like I said before, if whatever works to get you going, cut it out. Don't do it. But just know that vitamin C, citrus like lemon and lime, is a powerful astringent, a powerful antiseptic. So if you drink lemon water and you have discomfort, probably dealing with strep, or pathogen in the gut, and lemon water is just knocking it out on contact, and there's symptoms involved with that. So do your due diligence and observation. You drink lemon water and you vomit, or you're nauseous, or you pass out, that's a different story. But if you're feeling discomfort, it's probably because it's knocking out infection. My first 6 months drinking lemon water was very uncomfortable, but I could get it down and keep it down, and my liver felt good when I drank it, and it flushed my body out in the morning, and eventually now I thrive on it. But at first, when you're very weak and very sick, when it comes to food allergy testing, it's like assessing peace in a war zone. Like, how peaceful is it today? Well, we're still fighting a war, so it's a battle going on. So it's hard to assess allergies when your nervous system's under attack. So I think allergies come from sensitive, frayed nerves that overreact, that are sensitive, and strong foods interact with those sensitive nerves and will cause what may be misconstrued as an allergic reaction. That's just my opinion. That's not fact. That's like I said, it's my experience, my opinion. It's just not fact. I'm just a dude, just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Hey, Linda, filter your city as long as you're filtering it. That's good. Make sure you're filtering it. Hey, Yolanda, you're amazing too, girl. You're welcome, and you're so kind and willing too. We've had a good phone call. Get on some of that stuff we've talked about. How you doing? I'm a coach. I'm going to push you. I'm gonna keep pushing you. I sent you some text messages back. You haven't responded yet. Where you at, girl? Oh, thanks for the recipe on hummus, Nadia. That's cool. Awesome resource. Curtis, hi Matt. Should I cut out the rice, main part of an Asian meal, or perhaps eat red potatoes? Appreciated. Just you don't have to cut out the rice. What I do with rice is after you're done steaming it, dice up cilantro or coriander, whatever it's called there, and put cilantro in the rice. that helps the body move it through and digest it. Put things in the rice that help the body absorb it. You know, shaving ginger into rice is a good one to do. Dicing up minced garlic in your rice. Put healing foods in the rice after you cook it. It's raw healing foods, and you know, if it's what you're using to fill up, then fine. You know, use wild rice, brown rice, white rice. Use in moderation. Like I said with potatoes, I'm not against potatoes when they're steamed or baked. You know, obviously after you bake it, don't load it down with sour cream and cheese and butter, but you put some hummus in a baked potato or some guacamole, and I feel that organic, you know, red, white, yellow Yukon Gold potatoes, they're very strong. They're very strong antimicrobials. They knock out strep. So if your focus is strep, if your focus is Epstein-Barr virus, I'm not against potatoes, but some people are and follow the nightshade thing. And like I said before, whatever gets you going, do it. What's right for your mind is right for your body, because the mind is what the body's going to do. The body never gets around what the mind thinks is right and wrong. So do it. Nadia, you can't see the video? I don't know about that. I don't know why. Hopefully other people can. I'm not seeing any other chat messages about it. Hey Rahul, help on scalp psoriasis, the same help with any psoriasis. You know, download my guide, phwarrior.com. Get the guide, take small steps, start changing your lifestyle, less stress, get some me time, get some water in you, get some plant foods, make small changes. You know, cut down on the dairy, cut down on the red meat, cut down on the white sugar, and work with, it's even more important to do meditation and Qigong and yoga, because if you have scalp psoriasis, that means the brain, that means the toxins are collecting around the brain. So calming down the mind is going to help with eliminating those toxins. What I will say on scalp psoriasis, that I've cleared it twice myself, it tends to clear first, which is exciting. I think that the body really protects the vital organs it can't live without. It protects the brain, it protects the reproductive organs, it protects the central core. And the arms and legs and fingers and toes are last because they're expendable. So I've noticed twice now that the scalp clears out first when you get about, you know, I'd say 6 months to a year in, depending on how severe you are. But get on it, get after it, Raul. Make those changes. Tandy, what's up? Agent T, my angel. I'm loving this too, girl. I don't know where I'd be without you, Tandy. This group would not be what it is without you and Julie and Sabrina. You three have been an absolute miracle in my life, and we've been doing this for years now. We've been through a lot of admins, and the four of us have stuck together through thick and thin, and that's why we have this beautiful place. Renee, when I want to start diet, where do I start? phwarrior.com. Get on my email list, get the guide. I'm going to send you a periodic email on a schedule every couple weeks, little nudges to say, hey, try this, try that. Search my YouTube channel if you haven't watched it yet. PH Warrior on YouTube. I just made a 10 video series, 10 skills on diet, and watch those videos, write down some notes, do what you can. If you want to start on diet, the key is starting slowly. Start slowly. Get this right here. Okay, this water bottle. Get a water bottle. BPA free. Start drinking water. Squeeze a lemon in. Squeeze a lime in. Start drinking water. That's a great place to start. Get yourself liquid. Get that raging river flowing. What's up, Charles? How you doing, man? Adam's talking about kidney filtration. Dr. Morse says it's highly likely if your kidneys is not filtered as they should, it will lead to pee and other issues. Yeah, Dr. Morse calls the skin the third kidney, and absolutely. I've worked on kidney filtration. I've followed Dr. Morse more closely in phase 2. I've been using some herbal combinations, some Chinese herbal combinations for kidney activation. And I've noticed that my urine is much darker and has much more sediment in it, and I think my kidneys are doing much better now. I've also noticed soreness in my kidneys as I've gone through Healing Crisis 2 here, and that's because the kidneys are working hard. Yoga really helps squeeze the kidneys like a sponge, holding yoga poses and taking deep breaths. Yoga really helps the kidneys filter. It helps the lymphatic system move. So does Qigong. But yeah, Adam, if your focus is kidney filtration, focus on fruits like Dr. Morse says, the melons, the watermelon, the cranberries, the blackberries, fruits, fruits, berries, and melons. So how many times did you hear Dr. Morse say that? Fruits, berries, and melons, and lots of alkaline water, lemon water, lime water, chlorophyll water, magnesium, and shoot me an email if you want to talk about the herbs I use for kidney filtration. I have them on my site. We can talk about it more. yeah, if you want to do grape juice fasting, apple juice fasting, any juice fasting, any juicing, the more you can juice to bring in your nutrients, the better off you are. Honestly, juice. There's no substitute for juicing. Yeah, blending is great, but there's no juicing is medicine, straight up. But when it comes to fasting, I follow the mountain method. The mountain method. Very important to do the mountain method. What I mean by the mountain is you go up the steps of the mountain, you come down the same steps to the other side of the mountain. So you say the first step of the mountain is salads and smoothies for a day or 2 days, and then the next step on the mountain is soups and smoothies. These get a little more liquid, and then the next step is smoothies and juices, and then the next step is juices, and then maybe you can go to a water fast, which is the pinnacle of the mountain. If you can do water fasting for a day, lemon water all day. You know, Dr. Morse talks about that. If you can extend that out for a couple of days, the longest I've ever made it is 7 days on a liquid fast. But honestly, on average, I bring in liquid nutrients. I juice every morning, herbal tea. I have some coffee. I like coffee. Black coffee with raw honey and cinnamon. Lots of water, and then in the afternoon is a smoothie. I don't typically eat solid foods in any given day until about 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, and I have guacamole, salad, you know, dinner. I'm trying to step up my game right now and get meats out again, really help my body finish this. My first 18 months through, I wasn't eating any meat, and I think that really helped. That's right, Tandy. You don't have to have any fancy supplements, really. You just got to have make some lifestyle changes as you do those small steps. You'll find value in it, like I said, and then you'll have an extra dollar and an extra minute to spend on supplements. Focus on adding for sure. There's so much we could add to our diets, Sabrina. Absolutely. Blending is not the same as juicing, Tandy, as I just mentioned, but blending is definitely a great thing to do. Absolutely. Juicing is medicine, though. Absolute medicine. No substitute. Ellie's talking about a vegan diet. Wow, more power to you on that level of discipline. 2 months on a vegan diet now. Impressive. Can't stop smoking cigarettes. Those are tough, aren't they? Try a vape. Try a vape. Get yourself a vape mod and see if you can get some nicotine liquids and see if that helps you trim off the cigarettes. There's no chance to stop it. Well, try a vape. If you can get to if the nicotine is what you're after, see if that will help. And if you can go to a vape and you're doing just a nicotine liquid, then you are able to get all those other toxins, all those other poisons that cigarettes have in them out. And not to mention the high level of tar on the lungs and the high temperature. Vape is hot, but nowhere near as hot as that. So try a vape. See if that works for you, Ellie. Because you can get you can get liquids that have more milligrams of nicotine, and then you can get liquids with less milligrams of nicotine. So you can trim down and see if you can wean yourself down a little bit. So try that out, Ellie. Hey, Linda, Advanced Healing Group. I'll put a link to that. I'll share a link today in the PHW group if you want to come over and join our Advanced Natural Healing Group. But just know that group is very focused. We hold posts for approval, and I'm not so politically correct over there. Just kidding. Hey, Julie, I'm glad you're inspired. You're healing well since starting the diet at the beginning of the year. All right, so you were a New Year's resolution. Perfect. Keep going. Don't ever stop going. You're just getting started still. You're only 2.5 months in. Great, Lori. I'm glad you're getting a lot of value out of this. Delina's talking about psoriasis is individual to you as one person, that what makes it it's so difficult to ease. It's a struggle to figure out what works for you. Let's pray. All right, I'm down for a prayer tonight. Good luck to you, Delina. It is about what works for you, and I think, like I said before, I think the concept behind what works for you is what works for this big beast up here. How can you make the adjustments, and how can you balance the transition? That's what works for you. Other than that, I say work works, plain and simple. Work works. Work, work, work. Action, action, action. Don't stop. Take steps, small steps, whatever steps you can take. Absolutely. De nada, Olivia. It's really, for me, I love doing this. Oh, you help us all. That's awesome. You inspire me. That's great. I'm trying to read Spanish here. I lived in Mexico. I should know more Spanish than this, but. And you're clear. Oh, and Olivia is clear thanks to a healthy lifestyle and all of you info. Gracias. De nada, de nada. I'm so happy to hear that. Felicidades. Que chido, que chido. Jennifer's asking about aloe vera. Absolutely. Put some aloe vera. Organic, or if you have an aloe vera plant, you know, cut it, drink it right out of the plant. Aloe vera is very, very good at healing the gut lining, lowering inflammation in the gut, soothing, alleviating, and healing the gut lining. It's also good topically because it lowers inflammation. It's very soothing. So if you have an aloe vera plant, or if you can get organic aloe vera, rub it on your plaques. You know that are after the bath. It's a great time to put it on because it cools, soothes. But yeah, aloe vera internally, topically, great stuff. But as with everything else, make sure it's an organic, pure aloe vera oil, or grow a plant and do it that way. But yeah, aloe vera in your juice, aloe vera in your smoothie, aloe vera in your water, absolutely. Mary, yes, this video will be available later. I'm pretty sure it just gets posted to the group, so it'll always be available. And you can listen and take your notes, and please, in the comments of the video in the group, if after you listen and you have questions on any certain part that I talked about, put those questions in the comments on the video, and we will continue this conversation. This is just the beginning. I'm going to be doing this for now. I'm going to plan on doing one of these per month. And as my situation changes, where I have high-speed internet at my home and I don't have to run around all the different Starbucks in town, I'll probably be doing them at least every 2 weeks. But right now I can commit to one a month. Natural itch relief for psoriasis. That aloe vera, Jennifer, is good for natural itch relief. Witch hazel and vegetable glycerin. Mix those two together. Make yourself an anti-itch salve. Some people use essential oils like lavender and lemongrass in a base of coconut oil. For my hard, heavy spots, I use castor oil, cold-pressed castor oil. And Dustin just mentioned mango butter. Absolutely. That's cool, man. Mango butter. Never heard of that. So I'll put castor oil on, and then I'll wrap my legs in plastic wrap for a little while, then I'll bathe, and then I'll take a cool shower. Heat really dries itching, so any way you can cool yourself down, is great. Doing some deep breathing, qigong, yoga, cools the body down. Gets your mind focused on something else other than scratching yourself. So light aerobic exercising, brisk walking, things like that. Cool yourself down. But awesome, warriors. Well, this has been the beginning of something great. I'm excited to continue this. I think this is a fantastic way for us to work together, cover a lot of ground. And so we'll get to a lot of these constant topics. Of course, please tell me your opinions, your point of views. This is not a dictatorial space. This is not what Matt says goes. This is an open-minded, collaborative space of many intelligent people who are working really hard. I'm just one of those people. I'm no different than any of you. We're just all humans helping humans here. And so anything I say in these videos, I speak from the hip. That's my opinion and my experience, nothing more. It's not fact. It's not written in a book. Maybe a book, but still, it'll be my experience and my opinions. And your experience and your opinions have just as much weight, value, and influence on us all. And since they have so much value and influence, like I said before, be very, very diligent in how you present your information to others online in the group. Be very steadfast and reinforcing and positive, and it's so much about how we deliver more so than what we deliver to make sure people are receiving it right. But much love, mad respect, more healing to all of you out there. You're the cure. Work works. Addition over subtraction, and just keep on taking action. That's what we're here to do. I love you all. Have a good Saturday, rest of your weekend. Peace.